Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores or I go to estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always looking for like really small, interesting things, usually made out of glass, that I think you guys might be interested in or that I personally like myself. And then I bring them home, try and find out as much as I can about them, and then tell you guys about them. So here's what I've got today. I have this little thing, and I should probably avoid knocking the camera. This is actually a twofer, it comes in two pieces. And we're going to be playing a game of, do we think these things actually go together? I actually think not, but I think they're kind of almost telling the same story, if that makes sense. I bought the set, and it actually came as a set. They came together like this. Bought it for $3 in a thrift store. And basically, I picked it up. I thought, oh, that's fairly heavy. And then got my handy dandy black light. Woo, there we go. That's a lot of lead crystal. And this, maybe not so much. It has the, like, you can't really see it very well, unfortunately, because obviously the UV light itself is blue. The ice response there is quite sharp, is quite bright, less so here. And like, it seems that the composition essentially of this is not quite the same as this. I'm sorry if it doesn't show up properly on the camera. Like, you can see the, hopefully you can see that that is a very strong like ice blue. It's not just the UV light, and that maybe a little bit less so. And obviously that is under a normal light. It would be even more brighter if I actually switched the light off. I'm not going to do that right now. So yeah, we essentially have two little things. We have something that we're not quite sure about, I'm assuming. Now, first of all, I'm going to measure these up individually. That is 4 inches across by about 2 3/4 inches that way, and then it's going to be about 1 inch high. And then this tiny little thing is about 1.5 inches across, and kind of tricky to eyeball, but 1 3/4 inches high, about that. Come on. So very interesting little pair we've got going on here, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that, like, just the first thing you should probably ask yourself is, what in the world is this? Do they actually go together? And certainly someone seems to think so, because that seems to fit kind of nicely in there, a little bit of wibbliness kind of notwithstanding. But if it is in there, then what exactly do we have? Now, pretty sure the thrift stores obviously don't know, but do we know something from the marks at the bottom? And turns out that we possibly might do. And you can see that it says Lamplight, and the base says made in Austria. Can we figure something out from that? Turns out, yes, we can. And here we go. So Lamplight Farms, in fact. Okay, this is a company in the US. They started in the 1960s. This article, by the way, was written in 1980. Okay, this is going back quite a while, and they were open for 16 years at this point. And they essentially started producing like kerosene oil lamps for the US market. It's kind of this big resurgence as a kind of a, as a kind of a decor kind of a thing. With the trend towards casual and country interiors and the current concerns with electricity outages and energy concerns, oil lamps have become the best alternative or secondary light source we have today. Far cheaper to burn than candles, have a far larger and efficient light. Basically, it was just kind of this, like, this kind of decor statement around the time. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure that they still are, as maybe just, definitely as a kind of a, for decor, if nothing else. I'm pretty sure people don't light them up on a regular basis. But if you had them in an area that was prone to power outages, yeah, it would probably be quite a bit nicer than just, firing up candles. So anyway, there's a little bit of history here of the actual company itself. One thing that they don't actually mention, they say that today the factory in Wisconsin utilizes so many square feet, employs so many workers, but it doesn't actually say what the Austria connection is. And I have to assume from this is that what they're actually talking about when they say made in Austria, which, by the way, if you actually look for Lamplight Farms kind of kerosene lamps, and there are quite a number show up and they're listed as being vintage. They will say made in Austria, especially if they're made out of glass, and I have to assume that that means that they were made in Austria but then shipped to the US and assembled possibly in Wisconsin. That seems to be the only plausible connection that I can make here. And bear that in mind, it only really applies to this little thing. This is actually marked with, obviously, Lamplight made in Austria. We know for sure that this was by Lamplight Farms. This is actually not the case, okay? This is in fact probably something designed for a tea light. This is a candle holder, probably for a tea light. And it just so happens that this fits very nicely into that because it is in fact this thing. They are called confetti lights. Glass oil burning votive candles. And you can see that this is obviously Lamplight Farms, and they have these tiny little, yeah, what do you want to call them? Tiny little glass kind of candle things. They're obviously the right size of it, they're the right size for a tea light or a votive candle, because obviously they're the same size. And they apparently came in a few different sets. Here's another one. And one thing I can't quite establish is whether there would have been an extra piece to it. It doesn't seem very clear. It definitely in some cases, because here's a good example. This is like a set of 4. And you can see that would have come, like there, obviously that's the exact same as our little one here. It has the same top and everything. But it also comes with this little wick with the glass kind of tube that goes on top of it, that you obviously pop it down into that itself, into the top of it. And we don't have that here. So begs the question. I'm actually not 100% sure. Like, does that picture seem like they would have had it? I'm going to assume, based on what I know about oil lamps, which frankly isn't a whole hell of a lot, that the last piece has been lost in this case, that it would have actually been a part of it and now it's gone. I think what happened is that someone had one of these, or even possibly a set, you never really know, and basically had this and put the two together just because obviously both of them do lamps or whatever, and started using it as a set, and at some point the little glass insert was lost, and then obviously they donated it to a thrift store. So yeah, it's interesting, I have to say. And finding this out, by the way, was incredibly tricky, because a lot of the results, especially for Lamplight Farms, is just it's infected with, I had to specifically look for confetti after I figured out that name. If you're actually just looking for their words, a lot of the time you'll get these kerosene lamps. You're not going to get like this tiny little thing. You're going to get the actual kerosene lamps, the ones with the enormous kind of the high globe there, and the proper oil reservoir. That the little I don't know what it's called. It's the thing for turns the wick up. That thing. I'm not all up to date with my kerosene lamp terminology. I'm really sorry, but yeah, you get a lot of results like that. You're not going to get whatever this is, this tiny little vintage little, I don't know, votive candle oil lamp from probably the 1980s, if I had to guess, based on just the box that we saw there. But anyway, having said all that, what's it actually worth? Go on eBay. You're just going to be that way. Lamplight Farms. So yeah, there you go. If you want to get a set of 4 with the color and whatever, brand new in the box, $36.23 with, you know, your shipping. Let's take a look and see, do you have any sold items? Oh, there you go. You can get 4 with all the stuff for $20. Now, clearly I did not buy just this for the $3. I bought this and whatever this is. I suspect that this is modern, I'll have to say. This is probably nothing. It's going to be lead crystal, but we can't really identify it with make or anything. It has no marks or anything on it. It's quite nice quality, and I'm pretty sure if you put a little tea light into it, it'll look quite nice, especially because it is heavy. It is definitely lead crystal, because we can have obviously the flash of the UV, but not something that I'm going to be that interested in selling, because I'm pretty sure you could buy something for this you could probably buy something exactly like this for $5 or something in, I don't know, TJ Maxx, I can say, any kind of home decor place. Like, there's nothing really special or unusual about it. And the unfortunate thing is that this little thing is just, it's not really that valuable. You probably want the whole set. The fact that we're missing the little glass insert is a bit of a problem. I'm definitely going to be interested to see if I can spot any actual like Lamplight Farms lamps and whole ones, not just ones missing their pieces. Like, I think it would be really lovely to see, because a lot of their vintage ones are apparently really beautiful, and the company has been around for a very long time, and they're still in operation today, which is great. But I would say that probably what's going to happen to this little set is that I will put it together, send it back to the thrift store, and hopefully someone will like it. Possibly they'll, buy the set, put this back in as a ink bottle. Funnily enough, I did actually see one of these listed as a Lamplight ink bottle, and I thought, oh, that's a good guess, and it probably would have been my first guess as well, but no, it's not what it is. But in the meantime, these are going back to the thrift store, and I'll be on the lookout for actual, maybe a bigger Lamplight Farms oil lamp, like from this point on. At least now I kind of have an idea of what to look for. So this is my small joyful thing for the day. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.